Part 200. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1991. Get in the car, everyone, get in the car. Let's talk about anything we have at home. Lu Zhang greeted the elderly and children. It was snowing heavily in the capital, and he was really afraid of freezing the old man. Guan Yu quickly said, I sent a telegram to my brother a long time ago. I sent it the day after I received the university notice, asking him and his sister-in-law to rent us a house near Capital University. I received his telegram before coming. We said that the rent is settled, and we want to go to my brother first and ask him to take us to the rented house, and we can visit our uncle and aunt with my brother and sister-in-law another day. Although he knew that the house allocated to Zibao's family by the state was large and spacious, it was not the same thing for so many people to live together, especially when he and his wife took Grandma Jo with them, which was really inconvenient. Anyway, their relationship won't be estranged just because they don't live together. I know this, and I also know the address of your house in the 12th lunar month. He and Feng Qingxiu took their children to visit some anti-war veterans. Mr. Hong Zanjun was one of them. When the old man heard that he was looking for a house in Guancheng, he immediately asked he came to rent his own house. Anyway, the two families knew each other very well. He had watched Jojo grow up, and Grandma Jo was an old acquaintance of his. The most important point is that Hong Zanjun has never had a wife or children in his life, and he also likes to have fun in his later years. There were several people living in front of him, and he felt relieved, lest no one would find out if he couldn't wake up one day. When Feng Qingxiu heard what the old man said, she felt very sad. She decided to sell some gold on the black market and use the money to house the orphaned veterans of the anti-Japanese war. At least they would not be allowed to die in loneliness without being known. To build a nursing home for veterans would be a good choice, is to think about it in the long term, which is not a trivial matter. After hearing that Lu Zhang said that the house was rented by Mr. Hong Zanjun, Guan Yu said happily, that would be even better. Jojo and I can also take good care of Grandpa Hong in his old age. Uncle, please ask the driver comrade to take us there directly. I also want to talk to him first. Meet my brother. Lu Zhang smiled and said, your brother and sister-in-law are at my house. You go together. I will take you back after dinner in the evening. Knowing that her family was arriving today, and that Lu Tianjun and Zhang Xiaoyu were bringing their children back to Beijing to visit relatives, Feng Qingxiu called Guancheng and Zhong Wengzia very early and asked them to come to her home for dinner. In any case, the two Guan brothers are also children of their own family. Since it is a family reunion, how can we not invite them? Not only that, Feng Qingxiu also said hello to Wang Xinchen and his wife. Therefore, when they first arrived home and saw their big brother whom they had not seen for a long time, Father Lu and Cheng Baoqiu were very excited. Brother, the two brothers said in unison. Wang Xinchen smiled particularly brightly. Second brother, third brother, we can see each other more often in the future. Father Lu and Cheng Baoqiu nodded, that's great. Lu Tianzi was also very happy to see his brother. He ran up to him and hugged him. Brother, you really missed me. You are actually in the capital? Weren't you transferred to the Southeast Military Region? My uncle didn't tell me on the way. Auntie said she wanted to give you a surprise. A smile appeared on the very similar faces of Lu Tianjun and Lu Zhang. Just looking at his appearance, no one would doubt that Lu Tianjun is Lu Jiang's son. He is more like Lu Zhang than Zibao. Not only does he look similar, but he also has a similar temperament. He is not angry and has no authority, and he has the demeanor of the eldest brother of a large family. Although in terms of age, Guancheng is older than him, in terms of momentum, Guancheng is gentle, elegant, and handsome, but not as dignified as him. Lu Erxian was a little afraid of him. He caught his two nephews, Lu Chen and Guansu, building snowmen in the yard, but refused to enter the house to face Lu Tianjun, who had the same big black face as his father. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1992. Feng Qingxiu took Zhong Wengxiu, Zhang Xiaoyu, Mrs. Zhang and the orderly to prepare meals together. Grandma-in-law Guoyan and Wang Quilin couldn't sit still and were too lazy to get involved in the men's conversation, so they rolled up their sleeves and came to help. Today I bought a lot of vegetables at home, and Feng Qingxiu also went out for a walk and brought back some ingredients from the space. Cold dishes are already on the table, and there are many hot dishes being stir-fried or waiting to be stir-fried in the kitchen. Our family has never been together like this. Wang Quilin's smile flowed from her eyes. At her age, didn't she just want to see such a prosperous scene? Although the children of the Lu family are not biological, they are better than biological children. Feng Qingxiu chuckled and said, "Yes, it's rare that everything is done. How can we not have a meal together? It can be regarded as a blessing for you, my third uncle and my father. From now on, the children will have their own futures, so to speak. Everyone goes their separate ways, and even if they have holidays, they may not all be together at the same time. It's hard to be together like today." After asking his eldest grandson about everything in the living room, Father Lu suddenly thought of Zhou Fengchu. He raised his head and said to Lu Zhang, "Old Zhou, will you live together? Ask the child to ask him to come over and have a drink. He is alone, so he also treats you as son is a grandson." Lu Zhang agreed without hesitation and said in a loud voice, "Yayan, Er Xiong, take your brother Zibao to invite Grandpa Zhou and Yayan's grandparents. On the way, we can go to sister-in-law Xiaoyu's house to pick you up. Grandpa called me over and said that we have a lot of family members today, and the grandpas are all here, so we invite them to join in the fun. Lu Erxian likes to go out and play. He puts a hat on his head and shouts, 'Brother, let's go.'" Lu Chen and Guansu were younger. Lu Chen was 1 year older. He was born in 1972 and was only 6 years old. He was dressed like a ball and swayed like a roly-poly. He grabbed Lu Erxian from left to right and said, "Xiong brother Xiong, let's play together." Lu Erxian had no choice but to drag his 2 little nephews with him. Zibao followed Yayan with a smile for half an hour, but only Zhou Fengxu and Zhang Yun were invited. There was no sign of Ye Zhenjun and Grandma Ye, so Lu Zhang asked in confusion what was going on. "Uncle," the orderly said, that my uncle's cousin was sick and said it was very serious. She was admitted to the capital hospital. She was not high enough and wanted to be admitted to the Cotter ward. She had a dispute with someone, so my grandfather and grandmother went to resolve the matter." Yayan's tone was very calm, because he had never met his uncle, and naturally he had never met the so-called aunt and cousin. They were just like strangers to Yayan. To be precise, his uncle and aunt came here to visit his grandparents, but they never mentioned him. He was a left-hearted person, and even if Ye Zhenjun and Grandma Ye asked him to go to dinner together, he would not go. Ask him how he knows whether his uncle and aunt have mentioned him. The Ye family has a nanny, and I like him very much. Feng Qingxiu didn't care. She didn't know Ye Zhenjun's youngest son's family. The younger ones quickly carried the table and set up chairs, poured hot water for the elders to wash their hands, and were ready to eat. If you can't sit at one table, it's not because you pulled the family back home furniture. Zhang, take Tianjun Akin and the others to assemble the tables and chairs first. If it's not enough, go borrow them from the neighbors. After giving the order, everyone except a few old people got busy. There is strength in numbers, and they were quickly prepared. 3 tables were set up in the living room and dining room before everyone could sit down. Even a few children had seats, but they didn't sit at the same table as the elderly. I finished updating the 10 chapters today. My family members all around me told me not to update during the Chinese New Year holiday and go out to play. Finally, I forgot to wish everyone a Happy New Year. My dears, good luck in the year of the pig and all the best in the new year. If you wish, wealth will come your way. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1993. As for Jojo's grandmother, she was old and had been lying in bed for a long time. She was unwilling to serve. She just lay on the sofa and Jojo fed her some noodles. With the help of Guan Yu, he sent her to the bathroom to relieve herself and came back. After the arrangements were made, Zhou Hukai and Guan Yu came to the table. At the top of the large round table were Wang Xinchen and his wife, Lu's father, and Cheng Baoqiu, Zhou Fengxu, Zhang Yun and Lu Zhang. The person at the bottom was Lu Tianjun, not Zibao, mainly because Lu Tianjun had already married and started a business, and was both the eldest grandson of the Lu family and the other. He was in the army, and his rank was not low. In terms of etiquette, Zibao could not go beyond him. So Zibao sat at the bottom table with his brothers and sisters, and his two nephews were led by their mother, sitting at another table with Guan Cheng, Guan Yu, his wife, and Lu Tianzi. The two tables below were not big tables, so they were just right. It can sit comfortably without looking loose. Although women can hold up half of the sky, many women are still not allowed to serve at the table when guests come over. The Lu family would not do this, although they pay great attention to traditional etiquette when it comes to elders and children. Guo Yan, Wang Quilin, and Feng Qingxiu drank tea instead of wine and drank with the men at the table. After Wang Xinchen, Lu's father, and Cheng Baoqiu used their chopsticks first, they started to take dishes. In the old days, it was important to eat and sleep without talking, but now it's completely the opposite. A lot of things are said over the wine table. Father Lu took out his bank book and put it on the table. It just so happens that everyone is here to bear witness to the result of my compensation to the country for 100,000 yuan. 100,000 yuan, Wang Xinchen blurted out. When Father Lu nodded, he sighed, 100,000 yuan is really not much. Father Lu smiled slightly. Of course, the gold, silver, and jewels that were placed on the surface at the beginning were not a small sum, not to mention that after digging 3 feet into the ground, some were dug out, and everything in the secret room was also dug out. Because of the amount, if it is too little, it will definitely cause others to suspect that their belongings are hidden. These are not counting some of the items in the big house in Huihei City. It's not a small amount. How many ordinary people don't even have 100 yuan deposit? Father Lu patted his bank book, with a smile on his face, and said seriously, I have planned this money. Tianjun 10,000 yuan, Tianzi has 10,000, Aiken and Au have 10,000 each, and the rest are Zibao, Fuebao, Dundun, Erxian, Zhuang and Yayan, each of them has 10,000, regardless of whether they have a family or an adult. Yes, you can take the money yourself and do whatever you want. I won't interfere with the money that belongs to the little guys. Leave it to Xiaoxiu and divide it when you get it tomorrow. Yayan is also a grandson and has been with him for several years. Although this godson has not officially become a godson because his father never showed up. This leaf is forward, and the heart is big enough. Father Lu looked at Lu Tianjun and said, Tianjun, don't say that I am partial to you, Tianzi, Aiken and Au. Most of them are given to your aunt's family. You are all grown up. Now those who have a career, and those who don't have a career. They are admitted to college and have a bright future after graduation. Zibao and the others are still young and have a lot of money to spend, and they don't get any more points than you. Lu Tianjun immediately said, Grandpa, you don't need to give me this money. Xiaoyu and I have spent very little over the years and have saved a lot of money. We will not worry about food and clothing in the future. If you don't want to keep it for yourself, just give it to your aunt. Uncle's family's expenses are really quite big. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1994. I don't want it either, just give it to my aunt. Lu Tianzi echoed, there will be subsidies for going to school, and I will be paid for my future work. I can support myself. Anyway, he has enough to eat and the whole family is not hungry, so it is useless to ask for such a huge sum of money. As he grew older and more experienced, Lu Tianzi came to understand more and more what a great act of kindness it was for his uncle and aunt to unconditionally raise his brothers and Guancheng cousins and train them to be adults. Not to mention that brothers Lu Tianjun and Lu Tianzi were unwilling to take it. Even brothers Guancheng and Guanyu shook their heads like rattles. Guanyu said loudly, "Grandpa, please don't bury us. We are such big people, how can we do that? Want your money." Not only will it make people laugh, but it will also cause trouble. Just like brother Tianjun said, if you don't keep it for yourself, give it to your aunt. The word Mai Tai was put down very authentically by an educated youth from the northeast who came from the Wanglu Brigade of Guanyu School. Feng Qingxiu said, if you all keep it, what are you doing for me? I know that some of you are adults, some of you have families and some of you have families, but your salary is just enough to live on, and your monthly savings are limited. I want to buy one. Is it necessary to save for a big item for several years? It used to be a 3-turn cycle, but now it's a refrigerator, color TV, and washing machine. When she said this, her throat suddenly felt itchy. She turned her head and coughed twice, then turned around and continued, Tianjun, you and Aiken both have children. I don't think about you and the children. Don't think about it. We have treated them badly in life. Although we don't want to compare with others, under the conditions of affluent life, we must have what we should have. Don't raise children who find everything in other people's homes strange and want to watch the fun. It's okay if you meet a nice person, but you might feel like a child if you meet someone with an eccentric temperament. Listen to your aunt. Don't raise your children because you don't have money to buy things, so that your children are narrow-minded and have a picky temperament. I have seen this kind of thing too many times. The boys and girls in our family are all the same. We don't want to raise a son who is poor and a daughter who is rich. Too much is not enough. The more important point is that I have to remind you that prosperity is not only economic prosperity, but also cultural spirit and education. Lu Zhang finally made the final decision. Tianjun, you have been obedient since childhood, and you must not disobey now. Lu Tianwan exchanged glances with his younger brother and Guancheng brother for a moment, and could only nod and agree to accept the 10,000 yuan each given to them by the old man. It would be bad to be said to be disobedient. Lu Tianzi scratched the back of his head. My brother raises children, and so does brother Aiken. Au and Jojo are just a matter of time, and the family expenses are not small, but what do I need the 10,000 yuan for? It's really not worth it. Otherwise, aunt, please give me some ideas on how to spend the money more cost effectively. I think it's a bit uneconomical to put it in the bank. Feng Qingxiu smiled and said casually, the country has begun to pay attention to knowledge and culture. As the country's economic development is getting better and better, spiritual needs are very important. Anyway, you are quite discerning. Buying some antiques and hoarding them is better than anything else. Strong. Gold in troubled times, antiques in prosperous times, I don't need to repeat it again and again. Or when the country allows the sale of houses, buying a house, food, clothing, housing, and transportation are eternal topics, and housing is real estate, which is a great investment. Prospect. Will houses be allowed to be bought and sold freely in the future? Guan Yu's eyes lit up. His brother had a house allocated by his work unit, and Lu Tianjun had a house allocated by the army. He and Lu Tianzi did not. How could they spend 4 years in college? They couldn't take their old grandmother with them. Always renting a house. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1995. Feng Qingxiu saw Guan Yu's thoughts and couldn't help but smile. Inevitable. Even now, there are people buying and selling private houses privately. If you want to buy it, I will find someone to inquire for you later. Guan Yu said simply, then please don't worry about it, Aunt. We want to buy a house. He had the 10,000 yuan given by Lu's father, and Jojo also had some gold in his hand, which together was enough to buy it. Father Lu took a handful of bean sprouts and ate them, and nodded in agreement. Your aunt is right about this. It can be considered as leaving something good for future generations, which is more affordable than banknotes. When the economy improves, it will be obvious that prices will rise. One thing, I guess at most 10 years, money will be worthless by then. I have experienced inflation and devaluation of legal currency, and many people's savings have been wiped out. Wang Xinchen also agreed, although it is impossible for our country to engage in inflationary policies as maliciously as in the old days, inflation is an inevitable result of economic development. Zaiwen, although I have repeated it to you many times, I still cannot without saying a word. If your wife is well married, she will be prosperous for 3 generations. Father Lu was very proud when he mentioned this matter. A virtuous wife leads to fewer misfortunes, and a son is filial to his father and has a broad heart. This is an eternal saying. Although we are in a new era and have abandoned some of the dross of feudal society that favored sons over daughters, this sentence still has meaning, Father Lu said. He clinked his wine glass with his brother and said, if you marry the wrong daughter-in-law, you will be ruined for 3 generations. That's why he met Zhong Qingxiu at first sight instead of Wang Jiao, who later wanted to marry Lu Zhang. Feng Qingxiu had been praised so many times that she became thick-skinned, and she said with a smile, Dad, Uncle, if you two continue to praise me, I will feel so good. Am I really that good? Very good, very good, very good, Father Lu said 3 times in a row. Wang Xinchen laughed loudly. Did you hear that? Your father-in-law said that you are very good. I believe Ajiang thinks so too, right? Yes. You said everything perfectly. Lu Zhang stood up and poured him wine. Wang Xinchen took a sip and put down the glass. Zaiwen, I really envy your family. You have raised these excellent children. The most rare thing is unity and friendship. Brothers who work together can be as powerful as gold. Each and every one of these children will be in the future. It's all amazing. Are your sons not good? Don't always think that other people's children are good, Father Lu said without hesitation. Although the sons of Wang Xinchen's family were born to 2 wives and not from the same mother, the first child was also raised by Guo Yan, and the grandson born to the eldest son of his first wife was also raised by her. Although the affection is not as good as that of these children in his own family, he is still very affectionate. Good. Wang Zonghua often corresponded with Zibao. Father Lu knew a lot about their family's affairs. If the relationship between Wang Zonghua's father, Wang Qingping, and Uncle Zonghua were not good, they and their cousins would not appear frequently. The letter written to Zibao is enough to show that Wang Xinchen has not slackened in the education of his children and grandchildren. Zhou Fengqiu also said, that's right, Lao Wang, why don't you get an advantage and behave like a good boy? If the relationship between brothers is not good, or if the descendants are disobedient, your family will not be able to take the turn even if it is the first 100. Moreover, Wang Xinchen has always been in an important position, and his children's starting point has already surpassed 99% of people. Among the children of the Lu family, especially the older ones like Lu Tianjun, which one is where he is today without relying on his own hard work? Lu Zhang was young and had a shallow foundation, so he did not bring much preferential treatment to his children. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1996. When Chen Baoqiu heard this, he quickly asked for a drink. Everyone is fine, everything is fine, come on, let's have a drink. In terms of brotherly relationship, he is no different from Wang Xinchen and Lu's father, but in terms of relationship with the younger generation, the children of the Lu family definitely have the upper hand. He has never gotten along with the children of the Wang family at all. Since he has a deep relationship with the Lu family's children, he doesn't want word that Wang Xinchen is envious of the Lu family's children to have a good relationship spread to the Wang family. Many people are not happy to be compared with others. In fact, speaking of it, only Wang Xinchen, Guo Yan, and his wife, and Wang Zonghua were the only ones who had a good relationship with the Lu family. The other children and grandchildren probably only saw the Lu family a handful of times. Zhang Yun didn't have so many worries and wanted to drink more. However, he was not in good health and the healthcare doctor prohibited him from drinking too much. He could only taste it briefly. He looked at the three brothers Wang Xinchen and Wang Xinchen drunkenly with envy. Guo Yan tried to persuade him halfway. She didn't stop every time, and she was so angry that she directly ordered her nephews and grandnephews, "Move these three drunkards to a room, so that they don't poison us." Except for Wang Quilin, there was no other person who agreed, "Yes, let's live in the same room and let them fume themselves." Seeing that the situation was not good, Zhou Fengshu and Zhang Yun quickly left. Lu Tianjun's family of three stayed with Zhang Yun. Because the Lu family's room was not enough bedding, the Guancheng couple and the Guanyu couple begged Lu Zhang to send a car to take them home. At this point, but there are no buses. Seeing that it was getting late, Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu wanted to arrange for them to stay at Zhou's house for a night, but they were unwilling and could only send them away. After cleaning up the restaurant and arranging accommodation for the elderly and children, it was already past 11 o'clock when Feng Qingxiu and Lu Zhang returned to the room. "You've been tired all night. You should go to bed early. Do you still have to go to work tomorrow?" Seeing his wife thumping her waist, Lu Zhang immediately stretched out his hand to rub her. "I'm on vacation. There's nothing important to do at home. Leave it to me." Feng Qingxiu lay on the bed and let him massage her, closing her eyes and enjoying the relaxing treatment, and said, "Tomorrow is the weekend, have you forgotten? I don't go to work either. Last month, 2 doctors with high medical skills were rehabilitated. Later, I was transferred to the military hospital. I am very good with the scalpel and have more experience than me, so I am not as busy as before. If other people encountered this kind of thing, they might feel disappointed, but Feng Qingxiu didn't. Instead, she felt relaxed." Lu Zhang was also happy for her, pressing his fingers inch by inch. "Okay, let's take out the money and give it to the children tomorrow. Dad handed me the bank book at the dinner table. It would have been better if I had given it to them earlier. The rest belong to our children." Feng Qingxiu agreed, "I just happened to take Zibao and Tianzi to buy some daily necessities. The college students who took the college entrance examination in 1977 will enroll this spring, some at the end of February, some at the beginning of March. They need to prepare what they need to prepare, so as not to be in a hurry." Although the plan was very good, it just couldn't keep up with the changes. Early the next morning, the 3 old men had just woken up from their hangovers and went out to wash their faces and brush their teeth and prepare for breakfast. Lu Zhang received a call from his comrade Cao Yang, "My uncle is here. I asked Miao Miao and Zinza to find a way to open a door for them. The parents-in-law were rehabilitated, and what they said revealed that they had the gold jewelry that they had hidden in their hands. Cao Yang is the son-in-law of Uncle Su and Aunt Su. He is married to their daughter Su Miao. Su Xian is their youngest son. They have been struggling in Baidawang. The conditions are very difficult. They lived in the countryside, and Cao Yang was not good at camping. They had never been able to visit relatives in Huihei City. The scheduled release is finished. Sorry, I just made up for yesterday's work. I'll make up for 4 of the 6. I'll keep up the good work tomorrow. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1997. Lu Zhang had almost no impression of Uncle Su and Aunt Su's children. How could he have any impression if he had never met them? Don't even know each other. He only knew that their twins went to Baidawang, and later asked Cao Yang to take care of them, which resulted in his marriage to Su Miao. Later, both Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu had a bad impression of the children of the Su family. They had not seen their parents for more than 10 years, and no matter how many reasons they had, they could not justify it. Now that he heard that the eldest son of the Su family was inciting Su Miao and Su Xian to plot against the gold and jewelry that the two elders had hidden in their early years, Lu Jiang's impression of the eldest son of the Su family was even worse. It wasn't because all the treasures of the two elders were in Feng Qingxiu's hands. Feng Qingxiu felt at ease in exchange for food during such difficult times. The price of gold has gone up now, but at that time it was a matter of great luck to be able to exchange gold for food. Moreover, the eldest son of the Su family and his twin brothers and sisters were able to survive the crisis safely, thanks to the food that the two elders of the Su family received from Feng Qingxiu. After they were transferred to the Wanglu Brigade, if there were any good things, the two elders would think of themselves. The children often took in-demand supplies such as brown sugar and bacon from Feng Qingxiu. The Lu family does not owe the Su family, let alone the children of the Su family. So, Lu Zhang said to Cao Yang calmly, the two elders of the Su family have always been reasonable, so your brother-in-law can come. Cao Yang sighed, Miao Miao and Zinza flatly refused. They both said that even if those things are still there, they belong to their parents and they don't covet them. They are already unfilial if they fail to be filial to the two elders. How can they calculate the old man's things? Not to mention the difficulties. During that period, the two elders sent them so much food that it was impossible to say that none of it was used. At that time, the gold could only be exchanged for some life-saving food on the black market, and there was a high possibility that it would not be saved in the event of disaster. Lu Zhang nodded slightly, which seemed like a human saying. Thank you, Yangzi. I understand. This matter is not suitable for us to get involved. When your brother-in-law arrives in Huihei City, we will solve it ourselves. You won't tell your parents-in-law. Hearing Cao Yang's surprised tone, Lu Zhang still smiled lightly and said, it is difficult for an upright official to deal with household affairs. What's more, they were outsiders, especially since Feng Qingxiu had benefited from it from the beginning, so they couldn't be evil people, and reminded the two elders of the Su family that their eldest son was plotting against them. No matter how bad it is, he is still the biological son of the second elder of the Su family. According to Zibao, even if he has not received filial piety from his children in recent years, the second elder always thinks about them. Cao Yang thought for a while and then said, whatever you want, I'm just telling you anyway. When I first met this brother-in-law, I felt that he had a bad heart and a lot of official arrogance. I won't talk about him anymore. I have something to ask you. If you have something to say, what word do you use to ask for it? Cao Yang sighed, my brother-in-law brought his daughter to my house. She was wearing good clothes, which was nothing. My children have no intention of comparing themselves to others. Whose child doesn't wear pudding clothes? It just happened to be the one named Su Jingying. The girl laughed at my daughter for being a country girl and a poor girl. As a father, I don't know how sad I am. Even if Su Jingying gets on the train going south tomorrow, I still want to comfort my daughter. The clothes in the capital must be very fashionable. Please, sister-in-law, please buy 2 pieces and send them to me, and I will remit the money to you later. No need to worry, Lu Zhang agreed. Tell me how old your daughter is and how tall she is, and I will write it down. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1998. Cao Yang couldn't help but reveal a smile on his face. My daughter is very good. She is 12 years old this year. She and my second son are twins. She is as tall as me, 1.5 meters. She is neither fat nor thin. Because everyone is generally malnourished, short people can be seen everywhere. Girls who grow to 1.5 meters by the age of 12 can be said to be a minority. My daughter is 14 years old this year and is already 1.62 meters tall. Lu Jiang's words destroyed his pride. You must know that Cao Yang is only 1.67 meters tall. My daughter has loved beauty since she was a child, and everyone has pampered her. She has new clothes all year round, and a lot of them are bought from abroad, such as dresses, coats, etc. If you don't mind, I'll ask her mother to pick some good ones and send them to her. If you don't mind, just pretend that I didn't say anything, just send new ones. Cao Yang said as soon as he heard this. What's the objection? Who hasn't worn someone's old clothes? It's a favor for others to give them pudding clothes, not to mention the foreign clothes you mentioned. Although Bida Wang has developed, the place where he lives has always been relatively difficult. His wife and children are very poor in terms of food, clothing, housing, and transportation. It is almost normal to sew and mend for 3 years, or the brother-in-law's daughter would not be here. He was very arrogant in front of his daughter. Lu Jiang smiled and said, as long as you don't mind it, I'll send it to you as soon as possible. Cao Yang thanked him repeatedly. After hanging up the phone, Lu Jiang told his wife the situation in detail. Feng Qingxiu snorted, even if he comes to the door, I won't pay it back. What I got is what I deserve. In that situation, I didn't take advantage of anyone. Even if I don't want those gold jewelry, I exchanged the money to help those in need, such as veterans of the anti-Japanese war like Mr. Hong, or children who could not afford to go to school. They would never allow them to confidently demand that the things be returned to their original owners. They now feel that they can do so. I want to go back or redeem it with money, but are they willing to give me their life back? The Su family's eldest son's family didn't have the food in exchange for gold and jewels. Even if they didn't starve to death, they would shed a layer of their skin. I didn't see that they had frequent contact with the 2 elders of the Su family during difficult times, but then they stopped. Lu Jiang hurriedly said, I have the same idea as you, but I just want to tell you. Feng Qingxiu hummed, then pulled him to the reception room and whispered, what you said reminded me that times have changed and the situation has improved. Some people may regret the transactions that everyone was happy with before. I have to take precautions. After all, the original transaction violated national regulations, and someone might ask about the source of the supplies. Lu Jiang thought about it carefully. Don't worry, except for a few people like Ensu and Jin Laokai, few people know about you selling food and supplies in the black market. Didn't you say that you often dress up in disguise? And they are the most. It's impossible to betray us. If they leak the secret to the outside world, it can only be said that we have misjudged the person and have to learn a lesson. Feng Qingxiu couldn't help but said, no wonder people often say that the most unpredictable thing is the human heart. As time changes, there are usually only a few people who can stick to their original intentions without regrets. Now that you are in a higher position, you have to be more careful. We can't fall behind people's words. Lu Jiang also sighed and comforted, we have to have confidence in Uncle Su and Aunt Su. The relationship that has lasted for more than 10 years cannot change just because of the appearance of their son. You have to believe in Dad's vision of people. Feng Qingxiu frowned, it's not that I don't trust them, I just think that the eldest son of the Su family is too annoying, and the 2 elders of the Su family have to face this kind of thing in their old age. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 1999. Regarding this point, Lu Zhang spread his hands and said that they were beyond their reach. People die for wealth and birds die for food. This has been a common occurrence since ancient times. The eldest son of the Su family is obviously here for money. For the property that he saw his parents hiding and knew the exact amount, Su Lei, the eldest son of the Su family, took his daughter Su Jingying, worked hard, and after many twists and turns, they took a car from Baidawang to the capital, then flew to Jinling, and finally took a train from Jinling to Anhui City. They went straight to the Wanglu Brigade in the dust. Unexpectedly, as soon as they arrived at their destination, they heard that Uncle Su and Aunt Su had been rehabilitated. The state had returned their old house to them and also compensated them with a sum of money. The Su family was from a scholarly family, and there were not many confiscated properties, mainly books, calligraphy, and paintings. Unfortunately, they were sent to the paper mill long ago and turned into pulp for other uses. Some of the handicrafts were also missing. The Su family has returned to the city. They went back yesterday to tidy up their old house. You said you are their son, so you must remember your home address. After hearing Wang Dachun's words, Su Lei was overjoyed and said quickly, "Of course I know where my home is, but I didn't expect to be rehabilitated so quickly. I heard from people that those who can be rehabilitated now have a way." Wang Dachun lowered his face and said, "What are you talking about? The country has brought order out of chaos, how can you rehabilitate it just because you have a way? Don't insult the state cadres. There are several old men and old ladies in our brigade. In terms of status and previous connections, none of them are here. Your parents must have a smoother career path than your parents, so why didn't they rehabilitate them, but your parents rehabilitated them first? Su Lei is a good person in the officialdom. He can survive a bad situation without being affected until now, which shows his ability to figure out people's appearance and distinguish colors." After hearing Wang Dachun's words, Su Lei quickly apologized, "I made a mistake, and I maliciously speculated on the policies above. However, please forgive me. After all, I traveled thousands of miles to find my parents, just to let them get back to me as soon as possible rehabilitated. I didn't expect that they had been rehabilitated, I was a little too happy." Wang Dachun's face softened after hearing this. "In that case, you should go home quickly. Don't think that he didn't see the arrogant look of the girl who was traveling with him looking down on the countryside, and don't think that he didn't know that among the decentralized old people, only the second elder of the Su family had not come to visit relatives, and that the eldest son's package had been confiscated. Even the childless Mr. Zhou, Zhao Xiaoun would come over to see him when he was on vacation." Su Lei took his daughter home angrily. "Yes, go home." He knew the address and went straight to his destination. The former Su family's mansion was the ancestral home, covering a very large area, with pavilions, rock eyries, and flowing water. It was not as rough as the north, but had the beauty of the south of the Yangtze River. It was famous in Huihei City. Probably because of this reputation, after so many years, the people who moved in were government cadres. It was not completely unrecognizable, but it lost some of its elegance. This appearance already made the two elders of the Su family very satisfied and very excited, because the ancestral home was not completely lost in their hands. The second elder cleaned it up hastily, slept for a night, woke up, and was about to find someone to repair it, when he found that his eldest son was back. Before they could be happy, the two elders heard Su Lei eagerly say, "Father, Mother, the country has returned our house. How much compensation did it have?" Uncle Su's heart sank. "Why do you ask these questions?" Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 2000. Facing his father's question, Su Lei looked sincere. "Am I concerned about you? Our family has suffered for so many years and has almost nothing. The country should compensate us no matter what, and no less. After hearing this, Uncle Sue and Aunt Sue couldn't help but look at their eldest son, who they hadn't seen for more than 20 years and almost didn't recognize him. When he saw his old couple, he seemed to have never asked them how they got here all these years, nor did he care about their physical condition. The one who came is not good. Uncle Sue sighed in his heart. What was even more difficult for him to accept was that his granddaughter didn't call her grandparents after entering the door. Instead, she looked at the Sue family's ancestral home critically. At this time, she directly said, "This is the ancestral home of the Sue family that is only passed down to the eldest son? I don't think it's good. Huahei City is just backward. Dad, let's sell this house and find a way to go to Hong Kong. I heard that Hong Kong is very lively and prosperous." He looked like he didn't take the two elders of the Sue family seriously. "Sule, what do you mean?" Aunt Sue was extremely angry. Even a slightly sophisticated person would know better than to be so naked, right? He is the highly regarded eldest son of the Sue family. How did it become like this? The appearance is unfamiliar, and the temperament has changed drastically. Sule glared at his daughter. "Jingying, don't be rude to your grandparents." Su Jingying said, "Oh," disapprovingly, "my grandparents are cultural people in the city, big cotters, not old men and women in tattered clothes." "Dad, didn't you say that there is a fortune of gold and jewelry hidden at home? Go find it and let us take it with you. Let's go, my mother and brother are waiting for us. If we go to Hong Kong, we'd better take the gold with us." Uncle Sue's expression changed drastically, and he said sternly, "Sule, tell me clearly, what is going on? Where is Dabeo, where is Urbeo?" Dabeo and Urbeo are his eldest grandson and second grandson. They are both over 20 years old, and they also have an eldest granddaughter. However, Su Jingying is only in her teens at the moment, and her brother can only be younger. They plan to go to Hong Kong. What does it mean to mention younger brother but not older brother? Uncle Sue had a vague premonition in his heart. Su Jingying said disdainfully, "You said my father's previous wife was a debt collector? He and their dead mother had already smuggled to Hong Kong. No one knows whether they are dead or alive." Uncle Sue and Aunt Sue were shocked and angry. "Sule, tell the truth, what happened to you and Dabeo's mother?" Uncle Sue thought that something happened to his grandson during a difficult time, but now it sounds like Su Jingying is actually the son's wife. Another point is, isn't he in the Northwest? How do you know the situation in Hong Kong? In the Southeast is the second eldest son, Su Sen. Sule said impatiently, "What do you have to ask? Things have changed a long time ago. I just got divorced, and I didn't starve them to death in difficult times. Dad, stop talking and give me all the gold and jewelry you have hidden before. I won't fight with my brother for this old house." Many children are naturally confident in getting what they want from their parents. They seem to feel that no matter what kind of person they are or how inappropriate they say, their parents will not be angry. Sule is this kind of person. In fact, based on his experience, his attitude should be more tactful. However, he believes that his parents have caused him to bear the reputation of being a bad person, and his work has also been affected. Now he should compensate himself. "We don't have any gold or jewelry," and Sue was so angry that she finally said it loudly, "Even those you know have already given us food in difficult times to help you tide over the difficulties. How can we still have gold and jewelry? I'm almost too busy to death, I almost can't write anything, I'm busy from morning to night."